This video guide is about the Menstruator slash the Ripper build in the Culling. The gameplay footage in the back is a whole run in this build, winning the round by playing exactly this build. This build has several iterations behind it, and this is a combination which I think is the most effective to play with a Dagger. Originally I tried to play with a higher backstab damage, I tried to play with a lot of variation, but that didn't work out as well as I wanted it to be, especially backstabbing and applying this 40% more damage with a Dagger, or in general with any weapon, is kind of more hard than you would like it to be, and didn't work out as good as intended, however. So that's why I in the end decided to go with a bleeding damage, increase 100% increased bleeding damage perk, the faster run with a knife perk, and of course the 10% general movement speed increase, which is working really well in this particular playstyle. The general playstyle can be summarized in hit and run, and I feel like against other melee characters it is kind of nearly overpowered, imbalanced towards you, and against rangers or ranged characters, once you make the gap close, because you have this 20% movement speed increase, and with a blowgun and stuff like that, they don't have really a chance. If you find a master archer, of course he can outplay you, but then it's just down to skill, and you have a really big advantage there, especially with the bleed damage. Now, finding the right loadout for this build was a little bit tricky as well. This gameplay in the background is played with a Stalker loadout, which is perfectly working out, and the advantage is that every newcomer to the Culling can start playing this build from the get-go. However, I would recommend you to play this build with a Smuggler loadout, which gives you a Kukri, a tier 3 blade, a backpack, and a man tracker. There are several builds which look good on the first sight, like Ninja, like maybe even Medic, Light, Thief, but I believe the Smuggler is the best option for you. I think we can agree that this build or loadout is kind of a more early game focused loadout, and where you want to actively search other players and finish them off. Your perks, 2 of your 3 perks are dedicated to daggers, and the third one is a general movement in speed increase. So the requirements on an airdrop you have is A, you need to increase your damage output fast, and you need to reach it fast, so it needs to have a low cost, and of course it needs to help you in late game. Every game can develop into 2 directions. One rather easy because you're finding the right kind of opponents, and the second one hard, where you don't find the right items, you're meeting strong enemies, and it's in general really annoying. If you have a hard game, the Smuggler Airdrop will help you get off the ground far easier. You will get a tier 3 blade, which will increase your damage output. You will get a backpack, allowing you to farm and loot far easier, and you will get a man tracker to get to the equipment from other players easier and ambush them. And most importantly, you can call the Smuggler Airdrop very early. It does cost only 80 funk credits, so that's a real big advantage. If the game runs really well for you and you manage to equip yourself with all necessities very early on, because you're ambushing or finding the right opponents or loot, this build is still versatile in the late game, as it will give you a backpack, and the backpack can be upgraded or crafted into an armor. Armor is really important. It will take an additional hit from the enemy and make you survive far longer. The man tracker item is really good for this build because it will allow you to have the jump on your enemy instead of being ambushed. Starting a fight off with the Menstruator or hit and run build with a blowgun, with a successful blowgun dart connect, is a half win. Although I prefer and recommend the Smuggler Airdrop, I think there are several other airdrops which should be mentioned at this point. This is a Thief build, which is very cheap too. You get a tier 3 blade as well. You get pepper spray, backpack, and steel snare. Now, steel snare sounds like an awesome idea, but you want to use your mobility and not try to trap them. It's a little bit different playstyle, still a viable airdrop. The Ninja Airdrop is viable as well. You get a longer range blade, you get some smoke bombs. However, the airdrop is a little bit more expensive and I prefer to run with a cheaper version. Medic is maybe an option too, expensive or more expensive as well, but on the other hand you're getting an orange juice, medkit, bandage and a backpack, so it's a nice combination too. It's just the blade is missing there and I feel like you need to have good blade very early on. Survivalist could be another option as well, but again a little bit more expensive, so I still think that the Smuggler is the best all-round solution. So the general playstyle is, as the name is indicating, you want to make them bleed. You don't want to stay too long in combat, in close combat where they can hurt you back. The idea is to always hit them and retreat immediately. Blowgun and caltrops are your best friends in this build. Caltrops allow you to kite the enemy without him being able to run away much because he's so slowed down. Puking just helps you to get yourself in position and apply this necessary bleeding. And your increased movement speed will allow you to engage and disengage every single time you decide to do so. Just with this build you always have to have an eye on the surroundings, because you will take a little bit longer to bleed out your opponent till he decides to run away, which is just easy catch up and backstep damage. But it could be that you're getting engaged by other players in this moment. I always recommend to just run away in this situation, get on distance with your high mobility and high movement speed, it won't be a problem. Check the situation and re-engage once you see the gap with an advantage. You should start off every game with the same item combination, and that is Bloodbath and Dagger. There is not really anything else you should go for. Bloodbath is just too mighty and too powerful in the early stages of the game, and it will allow you to build a dagger, a stone dagger as well. Stone dagger is already perfectly fine to apply this bleeding damage, but of course you want to upgrade your blade as soon as possible. Next item to look out for is a backpack or a crafted satchel, and of course some caltrops in case you're getting into early combat.